Hello, everyone. It's Coach Steph. Welcome to the podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about consistency through the lens of being tempted. So, if you are new to me, my name is Coach Steph. I am a registered dietitian and a mindset coach, and I host the Fit Figure Formula podcast. I also host the Fit Figure Formula group coaching program. I'm going to be going live every single week inside of my Facebook group. So if you're watching this and you're not inside of my Facebook group, head to Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Weight Loss for Female Perfectionists. And this is where I go live. I'm going to do Q&As and help you guys with weight loss, lowering your A1C, and managing cravings. Okay. So if you have any questions about being consistent in temptation, go ahead and drop the questions. So I got this episode topic from my Facebook group. I asked, what is the hardest part of staying consistent? And you guys said temptation, you said grief and loss, you said being busy. And I'm actually going to cover all of those things in the upcoming podcast episodes on the Fit Figure Formula podcast. So if you are not already following the podcast, go ahead and follow the Fit Figure Formula podcast on any platform that you listen to podcasts, and make sure you check out those. Some of my other really popular podcasts from January, the menopause podcast. A lot of you guys said that menopause and the symptoms knocks you off track and you need help being consistent through that. Definitely check out the series that I did. It's a 4-part series in January 2026 on menopause. So that's going to be very helpful for you. Okay. So today we're talking about temptation. Now, temptation can look like I'm tempted to eat something that's outside of my plan. I'm tempted to overeat something, or I'm tempted to skip a workout. I'm tempted to just start over on Monday. I'm tempted to micro quit. So we all experience temptation, right? Temptation is not something that's abnormal. And so if you are experiencing this, like we all do, that's totally normal. And you can expect to continue to experience that because that's just what it is, right? And so inside of the formula, which is my 16-week macros and mindset program where I help my clients to beat self-sabotage and lose the weight for good, I help you map out what does consistency look like for you. I help you get consistent and actually implement. And one of the things that I'm hearing a lot from just conversations I'm having on social media, a lot of times we're saying, I know I need to do this. I know I'm supposed to do this. I know I'm going to start later. And I know and I don't know are both self-sabotaging sentences, because if you know to do something and you have known this probably for years, right? That you need to walk, you need to eat your fruits and vegetables, you need to cook more at home, you need to drink more water. And you're like, yes, I know. And you're not doing it. There's nothing like doing the work, but doing the work. And so sometimes you need to kind of put your pride aside and get help actually implementing the thing that, yes, you already know to do, but you're having trouble actually executing it. Okay. So just making sure that you're not letting your pride get in the way of your results, because probably if you have the result, you have lost weight, you've lowered your A1C, you've gotten off medication, no longer pre-diabetic. All that matters is that you created the result, right? And so asking for help is not cheating. Asking for help is not weak. It is actually the sign of someone who has a really strong mindset to see and recognize hey, I am actually not doing the thing that I want to do. And I know I want help implementing it. And that implementation and having that result is going to make you feel so much better to actually have the result instead of keep wanting the result year after year, month after month, especially with something that you know you should be doing, but you're just not, right? So take away any judgment around needing help. Take away any judgment around still feeling tempted, because number one, temptation is absolutely normal. Okay. So it is not a character flaw. If you still feel tempted to skip things, you don't feel like executing your health habits sometimes and you don't, that temptation to skip things or to overeat is not a character flaw. It is just your brain literally wired to seek comfort, to seek pleasure, to seek dopamine, to prefer convenience, right? So your brain likes sugar, it likes rest, it likes convenience, it likes instant gratification, it likes things that are easy. And it's always going to try to reroute to the path of least resistance, which is why inside of the formula, I am helping you set up your environment to decrease that resistance and decrease that friction, even in your environment, to be able to actually just execute. So when you're trying to lose weight, we're often asking our brain to do things and that we actually don't want to do in the short term, that are harder to do in the short term. So we're asking it to delay gratification, to push through discomfort, to stay disciplined, to say no to things that we actually want in the moment. So temptation doesn't show up to say like, hey, you're weak. It just means you're a human. So the goal is not to eliminate temptation. The goal is really to develop the skills to navigate it. And I'll tell you a little story about a client who she was working with me and she was still having some negative self-talk and she was still tempted to like be mean to herself, to try to beat herself up after when she made a mistake. And she was trying to figure out, why do I keep doing that? Why do these thoughts keep coming up? And I'm like, you think that working on your mindset is going to help eliminate the negative self-talk, but that's not even the goal of working on your mindset. The goal is to have the tools to navigate it when it shows up. And so sometimes we keep thinking, I'm not disciplined. I'll never get over this. This is just the way that I am. This is just the way things are because I keep bumping my head up against this one thing. I still feel tempted when I see a cupcake. That's not an indication that something is wrong with you or you're still struggling. It just means that you're human, but understand that when you get help with strategy and accountability and with your mindset, you actually have the tools to overcome it. So normalize being tempted to skip things or to overeat. It's totally fine. So when you take that stigma, shame, embarrassment, or beating yourself up over feeling it, you understand that now it's just an opportunity and an invitation to rise to be your highest and best self. And the more that you workshop that, the more you get curious about the temptations, the triggers, etc., the better you're going to be able to navigate through it. And doesn't mean you won't ever be tempted, but it just means that like, okay, I know how to get past this and show up most of the time in my highest and healthiest self. So, number 2, temptation is stronger when you are depleted, when you're super hungry, when you haven't been sleeping at night, when you have had a long day, a long week, and you haven't rested, when you're taking care of everyone else. It's not a coincidence that temptation is even stronger. So, if you're tired, if you're stressed, if you're emotionally drained, if you are underfed, when your mental and emotional energy is low, your brain starts looking for quick comfort. And so that's why people say things like, oh, I've had a long day and I just wanted to rest, or it's Friday and I just want to like relax. And so I'm just going to give myself permission to overeat on this weekend because I've just had a long week. And so this is really not a willpower problem. I tell you all the time that willpower is a poor way to try and build a lifestyle because that's not going to work long term. Problem is really energy management, it's thought management, it is strategy management, and actually having a strategy, a routine to make sure I'm eating enough throughout the day, that I'm sleeping enough at night, that I'm giving myself regular breaks before I burn out. Because when your tank is empty, the temptation gets much, much louder. And so if you do not have a regular routine, this is going to be harder. I tell people all the time, if you're going on vacation or you have an interruption in your schedule, if you tend to emotionally eat, etc., it's okay to have a bad moment, a bad week, a bad situation, and then come back to your routine. But you have to have a good, solid routine, at least mapped out to practice. Because when you don't have that, then you don't really have anything to come back to, right? Like if you're trying to recover from overeating in a tempting situation, or you've been out of workout practice for months at a time, if you don't have a documented routine to just like come back to, it feels like I don't know where to start. So inside of the formula, I help you map out a very simple 1-page, like here are your health habits. Here are the things that you need to do in order to hit your goals. Here's the times that are flexible, but at least document it so you're like, okay, I can come back to this one pager and say, okay, it's Sunday. What did I say I was going to do? Let me just get back onto this schedule. But when you don't have a schedule, that's an issue. And so we do this in a step-by-step process so that you're not trying to come back to something that is overwhelming, trying to do all of the steps and the habits and restart all of them. That just feels like a lot. So again, temptation is going to feel stronger when you don't have that solid documented routine that you know works for you. You just need to come back to it. So if you're struggling with that, you should join the Fit Figure formula and let me help you figure out your system. Number 3, all or nothing is a trap in terms of temptation. So a lot of perfectionists will have this mindset of all or nothing. And let's say you have planned out your meals to eat healthy today. Then maybe you eat a cookie. And then immediately your brain says today is ruined. And that one cookie turns into more snacks, more food, giving up for the day. But the mindset shift that consistent people have is that was just one cookie. They move on. There's no drama. There's no guilt. There's no spiraling. Consistency isn't really about being perfect, but it's about recovering quickly when things don't go as planned. I always tell you guys, don't try not to fall off because you're going to fail at that. You're going to fall off. The quickest thing is like, how can I get right back on? How can I just get back to my routine again? Getting on assumes that you have a routine to get back on to. Right? And so all or nothing thinking is always going to keep you very inconsistent. If you fall to temptation and you feel like now you have to start over, there's no such thing as starting over. That sentence is self-sabotaging for a lot of people. Starting over, you're never starting over. We're never starting over. And it makes you feel like you need to start over. It makes you feel like I have to restart. And that's just not true. Okay. So when your brain offers you that, I just want you to notice it and like, okay, that's a self-sabotaging thought. What is it that I need to do next in order to create momentum and get refocused on my health habits? Number 4, temptation is often emotional. So a lot of times when people feel tempted, they assume that they're hungry. But a lot of times temptation is actually coming from something else. It could be boredom. It could be stress. It could be frustration, exhaustion, wanting comfort, wanting reward. It could be just like mindless. You're not even like thinking about it. You're just like, cupcake, sugar. I want that. Let me eat it. It could be environmental or just a habit. I come in from work and I sit down on my favorite spot on the couch and there is a little candy bar full of Hershey's little chocolates and I just get them. So it's typically not about hunger. So again, this is why it's important to have a routine, because if you have been well fed, you've been eating your protein, your fiber filled carbs, your healthy fat, you can say no or have a smaller portion a little easier. So the next time you feel tempted, pause and ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? Sometimes hunger is not the answer. Sometimes it's just, man, I feel like I need a break or I'm very overwhelmed. So if you're actually hungry, honestly, you just need to eat a healthy meal, right? If you're feeling overwhelmed, you need a break. So the temptation typically is not even really solving the real problem. But does that make sense? Like the temptation isn't even solving the problem. The eating the cookie or whatever is not solving the real problem. It's just giving you temporary comfort. So we want to solve the root of the problem and making sure that you are identifying when you are overeating or indulging in a treat for convenience sake, for comfort, because you're stressed or because you're overwhelmed. One of the things that I teach my clients inside of the formula is to plan in your treats. So this kind of knocks temptation out of the equation, because if you're planning in a treat, it's not temptation. You're still hitting your goals. You don't have any guilt or feeling bad about it because it's like, yeah, I'm planning this in. So you're a lot less tempted when you actually plan in your treats. And inside of the formula, I help you do that because a lot of you guys have plenty of calories to be able to plan in a treat. I think the biggest issue comes in where I don't trust myself to have a treat because I feel like I'm going to overdo it. And that's the root of the problem. I got to learn how to trust myself I have to learn how to check in and say, hey, I'm actually really not hungry for that second piece of pie. It's just there and I want it. What do I really feel? And set your environment up for success. And that's number 5. Number 5 is setting your environment up for success. You might be underestimating how much your environment influences temptation. Think about it. You're at work. You have eaten your formula breakfast and you're feeling good. Then somebody comes in with donuts and you're like, really? I was not even thinking about donuts. Or maybe you're at home, you work from home and you're feeling pretty good. You got your water on your desk. You get up and you take a break and you walk by the counter in the kitchen and there's cookies. Or you open up the freezer and bam, there's ice cream. And it just reminds you that there's a goodie, there's a treat that I could have. So I always start off week 1 with helping my clients detoxing their kitchen. It doesn't mean throwing away all of your sweets, but it does mean making your environment a safe place. So I don't want cookies on the counter. I'll have a banana, have your fruit out on the counter instead of something sugary or sweet. If I love ice cream, which I do, I'm not going to have that the first thing that I see. I'm going to put it at the bottom, at the top, behind something so that I don't see that every single time I open up my refrigerator or my freezer. So setting your environment up to be successful. So that might be your house. It might be your work environment. So if your house is full of foods that make it harder for you to be consistent, it's going to be harder to be consistent. If you don't already have your meals planned, it's going to be harder to be consistent. Think about when you do meal prep, it's much easier to go in there, grab your meal prep and come back. Why? Because your environment is set up for success. If your schedule or even your home or kitchen is chaotic, if it's like super messy, that is a lot of mental clutter. Something that I have done and I'm working on actively doing in my kitchen is putting everything in nice containers, making sure that my pantry is nice and organized with my cans in the same place, my boxes of food in the same place, my spices. I tend to like my spices like the label facing front, but I like it when I go in there. Right now, my pantry looks very neat and organized. You can tell where everything is supposed to be. And personally, I hate it when I go in there and I see that like maybe my daughter has gone and like put something in the wrong place. And I'm like, it's just as easy to put it in the right place as it is the wrong place. And I'm like, why would you put that here? I'm a little OCD, but I do like it when I open up my pantry, open up my refrigerator, my freezer, and things are organized in there. I didn't just come from the grocery store and dump all of the fruits and vegetables in those little bags that they give you at the grocery store. And I open up the veggie drawer and it's just a whole bunch of bags and I can't see. And what happens is the stuff rots, your cilantro goes bad, your, avocados rot, and then you end up throwing away a lot of food. So for some of you, setting up your environment might be cleaning out your pantry, throwing away old spices, old condiments that you have in your refrigerator drawer that have been in there, that old ketchup that no one's using. Throw that stuff in the trash, making sure that you have a nice, clean space. And you have to do that regularly because, things get busy, things get messy. I get it. But cleaning that space out is going to help you feel so much more aligned, organized, and help you be more consistent. So consistency becomes easier when your environment actually works for you. Okay. So that could be having go-to meals already ready, go-to snacks already pre-portioned. Get your kids to help you guys with this. So it's really about making the path easier to follow and thinking about your future self. What is going to help my future self and make a task easier, make my day easier, make my week easier. Okay, so setting up your environment, very, very important. That visual cueing, whether it's putting out your water or setting out your workout clothes, having your meals prepped, very, very important. Number 6, temptation is temporary. Temptation is literally temporary. And so there's nothing that's going to happen if you don't give in to that temptation right away. Most cravings and urges only last about like 10, maybe 20 minutes, but we often act on them immediately. So one powerful thing you can do, and I teach my clients this, very simple. I call it the powerful pause. Create a pause. So before you give in to temptation, just try pausing refocusing on your goals, bringing your power back to yourself, drinking some water. You can go for a short walk. You can step away. You can self-coach in the moment too. Just like you can talk yourself out of going to that workout, you can talk yourself out of eating that second piece of cake. Talk to yourself, coach yourself, encourage yourself. Remind yourself of your goals. You already have that skill. You talk yourself in and out of things all the time. So do the same thing. It takes some awareness because a lot of times we're just grabbing the candy just mindlessly, but that's part of our practice inside the formula. And working on your mindset is so that you can be more aware and more present throughout your day so that you can catch those moments in real time and make a new decision. So you have multiple options when you feel temptation. You can ask yourself, am I really hungry? Did I really eat? Am I just hungry? Like, do I need to go eat a balanced meal? Am I just emotional or feeling overwhelmed? Like, what actually is going to help me with that? Can I go drink water? Let me go take a short walk. We have the gift of procrastination. Procrastinate on getting the second piece of cake. You know how to do that. Go do something else, right? Like we have that skill. Is just adopting that practice and practicing again and again. Okay. So I hope that this message helps you understand more about temptation. Let me kind of just recap. So 1, we talked about temptation being normal, that you're never going to get rid of the urge to be tempted. So don't even try. Number 2, temptation being stronger when you are depleted. Number 3, all or nothing thinking will always keep you tempted and inconsistent. Temptation is often emotional versus physical. Setting up your environment is super duper important. And then also temptation is actually temporary and that you can coach yourself out of that. So temptation is part of the journey, right? It's going to happen. But the difference between people who stay stuck and people who actually succeed are how they respond in the moments when they're tempted. And temptation does not have to mean the end of your progress. It can actually be a moment that actually strengthens your habits, strengthens your mindset, and leads to lasting change. So all of those moments are just an opportunity for you to practice being your highest and best self, practice being more aware, and to get to know yourself a little bit better. So if you feel like someone who is constantly starting and stopping in your weight loss journey, this is exactly why I created my coaching program. So inside of the Fit Figure Formula, we're going to work on things that last and create lasting change, like your mindset, like understanding your macros so that you're not afraid to eat those treats in the appropriate portions and still hit your goals. We are going to master movement and get strong and keep your muscle while we're losing fat. So you're not just relying on motivation and willpower. If you want to learn more about the program, you can click the link in the show notes and apply to work with me. We're going to get on a one-on-one call and I will learn more about you. It's really important that I learn what you're struggling with, what you've tried before, and make sure it's a good fit. And then we can decide if it's a great fit to work together. So thank you so much, guys, for listening today. If you have any questions about consistency, please drop them in the chat. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any other questions. Like I said, more podcast episodes on consistency are coming. So we'll be talking about consistency through loss and grief, consistency on vacation, consistency when life gets busy. I already recorded a podcast on having a tenacious mindset and being consistent. So y'all check out that episode. I think it's episode 80. If you are listening to the podcast and you found this helpful, definitely share the podcast, share it on social media, or you can share it, just the link to a friend or family member who you know is having trouble getting consistent in their weight loss journey. So thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening to the Fit Figure Formula podcast. If you're new here and you're struggling with your fitness journey, I invite you to take a super simple next step. Click the link in the show notes for a free training. If listening to this podcast has been helpful, imagine being inside the Formula Coaching Program. You can apply for coaching with the link in the show notes. I hope to see you inside.